there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. Creative people and how they do their thing, how they hang in there, why they do it. That's what I love to talk about. Today, my guest is a playwright and an instructor of playwriting, Bernardo Cubria. He is the man that taught my playwriting class, the one where I wrote my play Trade-Offs, which we just did a run at the Fringe, and then a little 3-show extension. It was such an adventure, a creative high in my life, and so I'm really excited to talk to Bernardo because he has a new play that is now showing at the Theatricum Botanicum, which is where our class is. It's called The People of Pompeii. It is set in Topanga Canyon, and it has to do with the time right after the fires forced people there to evacuate. Fires that caused a lot more damage in other parts of the city. But this is sort of based on his own experience of having to evacuate and then coming back. And then the sort of social dynamics of the community, the bonds, what makes a community. Do we stay? Do we go? Climate change is real. What are we doing? Are we like the people of Pompeii who saw those ashes coming out of the volcano and thought, I'm just going to stay. So I loved the show. I got to see it on opening night. It was so funny and sharp and moving and beautiful, and Bernardo acts in it, and he's sensational, and so does his wife, and that's really cool, and it's just a great show. He's also got another show that he's developing, and they're doing a one-time reading through the Center Theater Group. It's called Lauren Sanchez, and it is partly about Jeff Bezos' wife, Lauren Sanchez, but I think there's another Lauren Sanchez also depicted. I'm not sure. I think that's what I read, but it's going to be really cool. It's on August 30th. And it's a one-time reading, and I can't wait to see that either because I love Bernardo's work, and I love him as a person, and I know I'm going to get – I got emotional in the podcast, but less so than I thought. So there you go. Every podcast of mine should have a rating for how much I openly weep. Anyway, before we get to the interview with Bernardo, I want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by me. I do it because I love having these conversations. But if you want to support it and help me cover my expenses, the things that go along with it, like web hosting and so forth, you can do a few things. You can leave a tip in my virtual tip jar at DennisAnyone.net. Help me cover my expenses. You can also subscribe to my Substack, which is Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. It's the same thing on Patreon. I try to do an episode once a month. Right now it's free because I'm not posting as much because I have my full-time job, but it's a fun little supplement, and it ends with a little nugget about happiness, a topic that I'm very interested in. That's Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. Also, I'm going to be part of a cruise, you guys, next year. It's called the Live Laugh Podcast Cruise. It's with Derek and Romaine, my pals, and we're going to go to Mexico, and you can join us. It's February 7th through the 14th out of LA, and you can learn about it at dnrtravel.com. How fun will that be? And also the Mismatch Game is coming back Friday, August 28th. It's our 80s themed show, and it's going to be a blast. Haven't lined up the cast yet, but it's going to be really fun. And the tickets are already on sale. If you go to my Instagram, which is Dennis C. Hensley, there's a link tree in the bio, and you can buy your tickets. All right, that is, I think, enough of the plugs. Here now is my interview with Bernardo Cubria. Joining me now is Bernardo Cubria. He is a playwright. He's a playwriting teacher. He was my playwriting teacher and one of my favorite people, a magic person, I often say. And he has a wonderful new play called The People of Pompeii that I just saw Saturday night, and we're going to talk all about it. Welcome, Bernardo, to the podcast.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for having me. It means a lot.
I adore you, and I might get emotional during this podcast, but I might not. Who knows?
We'll both get emotional. It'll be good. It'll be on brand for both of us.
It's very on brand because I feel like I caught theater or I caught playwriting from you. I feel like I caught it, and I caught your strain of it. I feel like I caught your strain of it after seeing your show.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't want to compare like as writers or anything, but there's a humor to what you do, but also there's an emotional like there's a brutal kind of emotional honesty at a certain point. And I felt like, and I was like, I think I have that too. And it just reminds me of things you talked about in class. So anyway, I hope you're happy.
Well, it's a very sweet thing to say. And I do think that you are very brutal. I mean, I've seen one of your plays. But
the one that exists.
But it is incredibly honest in a way that I think is sort of the job of the playwright. And that's one of the reasons I love that piece.
Well, you started it with that prompt in that class, and we talked about this. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is in that first class that we went to, you said, write down the worst thing you've ever done on a piece of paper and slide it across the table to somebody, or something you're embarrassed or ashamed about. Yeah. And I thought about it, and I wrote something about my feelings around sex, and embarrassed that I feel like an outlier among my peers. Like I've had it and I've done it or whatever, but I never got it, you know? Sure. And so I wrote something like, I don't even remember what I wrote down, but my question is, have you done that prompt before in other places? Is that something you've used before as a tool or an inspiration? Because that unlocked the whole thing for me. That was it. I would have written some campy drag comedy about the Love Boat. But that prompt was like, oh no.
I also want to read that, by the way. That sounds great too. Yeah.
Next up. You know what I mean? Like I would have, but it unlocked something in me that is now running free in the world. That particular idea, was that something you had done before, or where did that come from? Because it was a huge thing for me.
So the truth is, I don't know if I've done it before in a class. And to be very honest with you, I don't really prepare my class very much, because I do very much believe in responding to the moment and being present.
Right.
And I think as a teacher, it's very important to be that way. And, you know, we can get into this, but I think it comes from a clowning background and a sort of worldview that gave me. And I think that coming in with like, here are the 8 things I promised myself I would teach you today is a mistake, because you don't know what the people need at that moment, right? And you're not responding to that day and the day that your students had. And, you know, I think where that came from is how I was taught to be a playwright, which, you know, came from a school in New York that was kind of brutal. It was tough. People were very critical. But the thing that always garnered respect was if you were being honest, if you were being truthful, and showing the messy parts of yourself, you know? And that was sort of, whether it was a cult I joined in New York or whatever, it felt like a very important part of what being an artist is showing all sides of you, right? And so that's probably where that came from, is a sort of, hey, you want to be a playwright? This is what it feels like, is sharing the deepest, darkest recesses of your brain with complete strangers. And that is what being a playwright feels like.
I also remember this thing you did in class where it was like the second week or something where you like, this is what being a playwright is. And you say, it's like, you kind of divided yourself in half. You know, it's like opening up your soul. And then there's this little platform in the classroom where we meet, or the little museum. And you're like, and it's like standing up on a platform, opening up your soul, and then asking people to come and pay money to see it.
Yeah. And then criticize you.
For it. And and that is kind of what it is. And guess what? I fucking love it. Anyway, so I have more questions about teaching, but I want to get into your play first. The People of Pompeii is set in Topanga, where you're performing it.
Yeah.
And I just love that you're doing this thing, and it's not 30 years after the thing. It's like a year and a half after the thing. So talk to me about the general play for people that don't know anything about it.
So the play is kind of in the tradition of Dinner Party Gone Wrong, which a lot of people have written much better versions of that play. You know, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, you know, is kind of my favorite version of it. But it's set in Topanga, and this couple, Carlos and Vera, that's very much inspired by me and my wife, host 2 other couples to kind of celebrate that we got very lucky and that the Palisades Fire didn't take down Topanga. And, you know, through mushrooms and EDM music and, you know, all these hard truths come out, and some of the cracks of this community are hopefully exposed, while also highlighting sort of the beauty of living in Topanga. And that's really what the play is. You know, it's a dinner party gone wrong.
And another thing that you say in class often is that plays are arguments, and that you think playwrights should present both sides of the arguments kind of compellingly and let the audience kind of chew on it, and then maybe come down one way or the other at the end. But this idea that plays are arguments. And I think about that a lot when I was thinking about my play. And I do know what the argument of my play is, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the price of being true to yourself. Like if you're true to yourself, you pay a price for it. And is the price worth it?
And in your play, if I may say so, I think that what you're arguing is there's one character who has decided that it's too late for them.
Yeah.
And they are very committed to that decision, because it's almost too scary to not be attached to that.
Right.
And then you have another character show up and go, no, you're fucking wrong.
It's not
and
too late.
That's kind of the argument of the play, which is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few arguments going on, but that idea that plays are arguments I think are really interesting. And I think your play is very compelling in it is, do we stay or do we go? And you use the People of Pompeii in Italy as kind of like a parallel where the idea is that they saw the ash coming from the volcano and they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And for you, I think Topanga is that, but I thought of the whole U.S. or maybe the whole Earth. Are we all the people of Pompeii? Like, do we need to move to another country? Like, it's not just, I don't know. I just think it's this universal feeling. But also, where the fuck do you go?
Yeah. I mean, I think, that was the real conversation that most of us had coming back after the fires was, I think a lot of marriages in Topanga, I know this firsthand, were people arguing, there was one person who was like, that was so scary. We have to get out of here to protect our children and our families. And then there was usually another person in the marriage who's like, this is what happens. Hurricanes hit cities, earthquakes hit cities, and people stay. And we're not just going to run away because one fire got really close to our neighborhood. And it was a very scary time. And because I'm someone who runs on anxiety and fear, that's like my MO. And my wife is a much more rational person. I was the one who was like, we got to get out of here. I mean, I was desperate to leave, when we got back. But obviously, you calm down, the fire, time goes by, you start to be more rational in your thought. But that was the argument people were having. And I really wanted to represent that,
When did you think, oh, this is a play? Because I know it was a commission from San Diego, right? The Old Globe. Like, when did
I have to shout out them, yeah.
Yeah, when did you put it together like, oh, I can write about this feeling and this dynamic?
So, I don't really plan my plays much. It's usually like I have a thing that is sort of front of center in my mind, and I can't stop thinking about it. And then the way that I process my grief is by writing a play. It's just what I've done for the last 20 years, Right. If anything, it's not even with the hope that it gets done. It's more of like an emotional necessity for me. That's what playwriting is for me. It's not, I mean, I would do it if nobody did my plays. I would do it if nobody cared, like, because it really helps me. It's like journaling for some people, or, working out for other people, or dancing, or, for me, writing is how I process my emotions. And so, to be honest, Dennis, I was incredibly sleep deprived. Had just spent 3 weeks drinking, way more than I am proud to say that I did. And I was just like in a really soft, scared place. And I just started writing, it kind of just vomited out of me. Now, of course, what vomited out of me was a really bad first draft. That's not self-deprecating. That's just true. And then I think the work of writing a play is then fixing it. And, and I can talk about how that happened. But the first draft probably happened a week after we were back,
Wow. So it happened quite quickly. How did San Diego commission it? You started writing it kind of on your own. How does that process happen?
So, I'm very lucky. Usually the way that theaters will commission playwrights is because that you have some kind of relationship with them, or they've seen another one of your plays. And the theater, the Old Globe in San Diego, which is a magnificent theater for any of your listeners who are ever in San Diego or want to go down for a weekend. It's a really special place.
I've seen some things there. Yeah.
It's beautiful, right? It's such a beautiful space. And they did a workshop of a different play of mine called the Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx, Latinx vote. And they did that workshop, and after that, they said, hey, we want to commission you to write another play. And it just so happened that when I was back from the fires, I had a meeting on Zoom with the theater, and they said, so what are you thinking about writing about? And I said, well, I just pooped out this really bad first draft about what just happened but it's kind of about climate change. Would that be a play you want to help me develop? And they said yes. And, thank God they did, because without the support of a theater, it's really, really hard to workshop your piece and keep making it better and better, Right.
And you had a workshop there not that long ago.
A month ago, which helped so much. I mean, imagine where the script was at a month ago. Yeah. And then, for people who don't know what a workshop is you get like a week in a room with really good actors, really smart dramaturg, a director, and they're giving you feedback live and in person. And then you go back to your hotel and you rewrite, and then the next day you try things out, So you're always kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall, but it's honestly one of my favorite things in the theater is these workshop weeks.
It sounds like a blast. It sounds like a total blast. And is there money involved in a commission, or is it just the promise of a workshop? Okay, cool.
No. I mean, usually there is, and it depends at the theater how much money that is or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I am incredibly lucky that Old Globe paid me to write this play, and they paid me to go down and workshop it. It's amazing. It's, it's a gift.
I love that. You talked about listening to my interview with Will Geer, who was the artistic director of the Botanicum before we did this podcast. I've been going there for 30 years. I love it. It's one of my favorite places. And I asked her about the wildlife there and if she's ever been attacked by a bear or a mountain lion. A friend of mine jokes that he loves going there, but he's always nervous that some actor's just going to be carried off by a bear in the middle of a scene. Yeah. Well, in the middle of your show, this majestic owl flew under the canopy. And it really, Bernardo, it was like something out of a nature film, like the wingspan, and everybody just kind of gasped. And you were asked about it afterwards at the Q&A. Talk about that moment and whether you saw it or noticed it or didn't notice it. But it was the first time that I've really seen like a moment like that I was talking to Ellen about, does that ever happen? And it did happen in your show.
Well, so I was very downstage when the owl flew over us at Overnight. And so I was sitting there, and my wife, who's in the play, and plays my wife basically, she had just said this line where someone says, we're leaving Topanga. Right. And my wife's character says, well, it is a big decision, right? Yeah. And she said that line, and then all of a sudden everyone in the audience goes, oh. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that line was so powerful and spicy and controversial, but cool. I mean, as a playwright, you dream of having that reaction. So I honestly, when the play finished, I was like, wow, okay, can't wait to talk about how that line went over. And then everyone backstage was like, did you see the fucking owl? And so obviously my playwright ego was like, oh, I'm an idiot, but how amazing that happened. It's one of the reasons it's so special to work at that space. It
really is so cool. And also you're in the middle of the woods, but then you're in this hotel, this old folks home in England with Waiting in the Wings and the different ways that it's used and I just love that place. I can't get enough. That's why I wanted to take that class, part of why, and I was drawn to it. I love that. There's so many great lines in your piece, but here's a couple that I pulled out just to throw out. Why is it that when shit goes bad, women do what's necessary and men listen to podcasts? That's something the Vera character, your wife, says. The women are fucking getting the shit done. There's a lot of fun with the gender roles in this piece, and it seemed like you were having fun with that. I mean, that line comes from sort of my frustration with the sort of coverage of the male loneliness epidemic and the manosphere and this sort of narrative around how hard it is to be a straight white male nowadays. And, I think I have noticed, frankly, that a lot of men my age sort of, instead of confronting their feelings or, making friends or, just doing anything productive, kind of retreat into a cave of podcasts and loneliness. And it's really sad. And I actually have a lot of empathy for that, because I think if certain things had gone a different way in my life, I would definitely be the podcast, cave dweller. But I do see it. And the scariest part of that, and I have a lot of empathy for this too, is that then they become people whose opinions are just parroting those of podcast hosts, Yeah. It's not like they read and then they have critical thought about it. They just are like, oh, my favorite podcast host has this worldview, and so now it's mine. And I think it's a joke about that, Yeah. There's another thing I noticed in your getting to read your script is that you have a lot of fun in your descriptions. And I've done that a bit as well in mine. Yeah. And I've been told that it's an entertaining read, which is not, I think you want to hear it. But one of the things you write in your script is, Evan is dressed like someone who has given up on wanting to be seen as a sexual being. That's great. We don't know if he's in a plaid shirt or baggy. We don't know what it is, but we know that. Yeah. And I think I got this feeling from your class. It's not a feeling I got. You said it over and over. But all of these rules that we think we have to play by, you're not that interested in them, right? And I think that has been a great gift to your students, because I think it would be easy to get hung up on, I don't know about structure, and I'm not real. I'm not really doing this. But no, we just plow through, and you end up with 3 students with plays in the Fringe. That feels like a thing. That feels like a line, like a trajectory. I guess my question is the rules.
Yeah. Well, Look, it's very nice of you to say that. And it does mean a lot to me that 3 of the students from that class have plays at the Fringe. Like, that is very special to me, and it really moves me in a great way, you know. But I have a great aversion to the rules of the American theater because, to be honest, I saw them firsthand when I lived in New York as tools of oppression. And I saw it as a sort of gatekeeper towards other cultures and other worldviews. And I saw firsthand how the sort of well-made American play that, you know, some literary managers and, you know, artistic directors like to talk about, that it's all a way to tell a story that is how, you know, white Americans and white Europeans tell stories. And my grandmother was a writer in Mexico, a very well-respected poet, short story writer. And she didn't write that way because in Mexico, people tell stories differently. And guess what? I've never been there, but I would gather that in Chad, they tell stories differently. And in South Korea, they tell stories differently. And so for me, it was sort of a political stance I took early on, which was, I reject that.
I'm not going to buy into that.
I can't buy into it because it would be to me, it's from the same school of people who told me to change my name when I became an actor.
Right.
It's just sort of like, if you want to fit in, you have to be one of us, not be authentically yourself. And the whole point of being an artist is to be authentically yourself. So look, I want to be very clear. I think it's incredibly important to study the classics, to know what the structure is, to know what the rules are that you're breaking, to be intentional of that stuff. But the truth is, if you want to write a great play, you just have to be incredibly honest and willing to write like 800 shitty versions. Like, that's my worldview, you know?
Right.
And it should be authentic to you and how you experience the world, you know?
Yeah, and I think you inspire us to do that and to kind of get over ourselves. Another thing that you do in class is you don't like when people apologize for shit. Like, for a while, we had like a swear jar where you had to put money in if you were like, well, this isn't very, you know, with all those disclaimers that we do, like, it's a waste of time. And I sort of have tried to sort of adapt that a little bit more into my life. And it's because it's just us trying to, I don't know what, protect ourselves from rejection or to tell people don't expect too much.
Well, it's also very human. I mean, you know, I completely understand that for all of us, like, insecurity is very real, and I have great empathy for it because I have a lot of it. Trust me, you know, it riddles me. And like, you know, before I went on stage on Saturday, all I feel is like, why did I do this? Why did I agree to act in this play? I haven't acted in so long. I mean, I understand where it comes from, but this was given to me. A much better playwright than me named Carla Ching gave me this amazing gift in my life, which was I was in a playwrights group with her, and I remember Carla would always bring really rough pages to the group. And to be honest, I was a young playwright and I wanted to impress this group of playwrights. So I would literally do readings of the pages I was about to share,
right,
like the night before on Zoom,
right,
because I wanted to come in with like really good pages. And I was like, Carla's the best, most well-known playwright in this group, and her pages are always the worst, right? And so one day after, you know, hanging out, I said something like, wow, you're really willing to bring in whatever. And she was like, well, that's why we're here. The whole point of being in this playwright group is to bring in rough molding clay and then have people help us shape it. Like, I'm not here to be told I'm good.
Right.
I'm here to make it better. And that changed everything for me. Because then it was like, oh, I'm happy to send a shitty first draft to my friend. Because it's just your ego that's scared about it not being good. But it'll get better if you just forget about that.
Right.
Because now, and by the way, feedback, criticism is something that I have, you know, had a really hard time with because I'm very sensitive. If it's coming from a smart person who loves you, like, why would you ever say no to that? They just want you to be better, you know? They're helping you. So that when you do stand on that stage and expose your soul, it's a little softer, you know? It's a little, they're just helping you, you know?
Yeah. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I noticed in our class, I don't know, we had like 10 or 12 people in it the first time and then like fewer the second time. I think I presented pages maybe once, you know, for feedback and stuff. And I got some, but not hypercritical. And yet it was this life-changing class for me. There was something about the spirit of it, you know, something about everyone was rooting for everyone else. There wasn't this sense of like, you're doing it wrong or you can't do this or you don't have it. I don't know. There's something psychological at work. And I don't know. I wonder if it's intentional or born from your own experience or if it's just the way I experienced it.
I mean, look, again, all of this means a lot to me, what you're saying. And I think, one, we had really good, empathetic humans in the room, and that's really important. Like, your classmates were that. And that is really, really key. And frankly, if you have one asshole in the room, it can really spoil the whole thing. Really, truly. Right. I've been a part of that many times. So we were very lucky in that in the 12 people that were coming, they all were coming with a sort of open heart.
Yeah.
And my only goal with that class in Topanga, like for people who want to take a playwriting class, if you need structure and you need tough feedback, like my class is not for you, because all I'm trying to encourage people to do is to finish a play. Right. That's literally the whole point of my class.
Yeah.
Is you're going to finish a play. And that's why a lot of first-time writers come to the class, because I think that's the hardest part of being a writer, is teaching yourself the discipline to write every single day and not care if it's good or not, and not care if you fully fleshed out an idea. Like, that to me is the key to becoming a real, like a professional writer, you know?
Well, that was the thing you're tough about, like generating pages. Like, that's where you would kind of throw down. But it wasn't about like, well, that wouldn't go there. That's not the first act break. Or like, it wasn't about that stuff. It was more like, how many pages are you going to write by next time?
Yeah.
That's where you got tough. I was trying to describe why it was, what it was like to somebody. And then I went back and read the description on the website. And I'm just going to read a couple lines from it, because I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Unleash your creativity and break free from self-doubt in this playwriting class with wordsmith of stage and screen, Bernardo Cubria! ! Let go of perfectionism and embrace spontaneity. Join a creative community that encourage you to unlock your authentic voice and bring stories to life that only you can tell. Come ready to have fun, take risks, and surprise yourself with what you create. Yes. I co-sign on all of that based on my own experience, right? It's that vibe. Did you write that, or was that the marketing people or whatever? But I think it kind of captures it, right? It's about an experience, about unlocking something in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is like what all of theater is. I mean, this is maybe it's not a perfect analogy, but like 2 nights ago on Instagram, I saw this reel where Denzel Washington was talking about how, as an early actor, he would plan how he was going to say the line, right?
Yeah.
And then he would show up to rehearsal and the other guy didn't say it how he expected them to say it. And then he'd be like, hey, can you like yell at me? Because I'm meant to yell back. And then he realized that's the worst way to be an actor.
Right.
The best way to be an actor is to show up, know the word you're supposed to say, and then be so present that you can be natural in the moment and react exactly to what was just given to you. And I do think writing is the exact same way. It's the whole point is to be present, calm in your body, right? With no judgment, with as little self-doubt as possible, and to just like allow the universe to guide you, you know? Yeah.
That was my experience with this play from the beginning, in a way that nothing else I've written has been that way. And I've written a lot of different things in different mediums. This was different. Like, I think I wrote it. I feel like it's on my computer, but it just unfolded. And a friend of mine was who sees a lot of things, sort of asked me about like, it feels like this might be the act break because that's where something happens, or it was a comment based on having seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, no. It's the way it is. I don't know. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never questioned certain things about how it unfolded. It was the most magical thing. And I think, but it sounds like that's something that you believe in and try to foster and try to have for yourself, right? Something that just unfolds and is alive in you, and then you just got to get it out.
Well, and I think I've said this to you, but not to your listeners. I mean, the thing that really opened that up for me was having kids, because before I had kids, my idea of being a playwright was you write at 1 a.m. to Radiohead, half drunk, smoking cigarettes, and
right.
That's the only way to feel pain and say something about the world. And then when you have kids, you can't really approach your life that way.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do, but, it's probably not the best way to be a parent. And so for me, it was like, oh, shit, Diego's going to nap from 10 to 10:45 a.m. And, like, I can't do 20 minutes of Instagram scrolling because then I only have 25 minutes left.
Right.
So I just started writing the moment he would go down to nap. And that was such a gift from my kids because they taught me how much time I was wasting, not just creatively, but with my own life.
Yeah.
And, I say this, I really believe this very strongly. the only person you're hurting when you do that is yourself, because you're keeping yourself from doing the thing you love the most. And I love writing. Right. And I realized, oh my God, I've spent so many years not doing this thing I love because of self-doubt. And why should I care? Like when I write, I feel happy, period. Not thinking about where it's going to go or if it's going to win the Tony or any of that crap. No. Just like it brings me joy. And that is what life should be, is like joy chasing, right? I mean, that's it.
Shit. Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Dennis. I mean,
what I'm trying to get out is I love my place so much.
Yeah.
Why do I love it so much? I fucking love it. I don't know if it's good. I think it's kind of good. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's kind of great at times. But I love it.
Yeah.
Why do I love it so much? I love looking at the document when it's like in a little notebook. Oh, wow. I just love it. I love these men in it. It's just, I don't know, man. Yeah.
That's amazing. But that's wonderful, right? I mean,
but I think it's something.
And that's the thing that kids have, right? Like kids have that. What you're talking about?
Yeah.
Of course they do. My daughter, my daughter's 4. When she makes me a painting, there is no self-doubt about the painting. She is like, this is a dog. And this is this pink and green striped thing. And she hands it to me with pride because she made it for me, right?
Right.
And there's only joy in that experience for her. And then what it is the world takes that away from us. And that's a terrible thing about this world, that artists have to fight against, because we can't let them win, because the people who told us that story are the bastards, right? And we can't let them bring us down. And like, another gift my kids have given me is like, when they play, they just play, man. They don't give a fuck if it makes sense or if like the story's good or any of the crap that happens later in life.
Yeah.
They just play. And that's it. All the rest of this stuff is extra. It's frankly meaningless when you think about existence on a larger scale. The only thing that matters is that you are being yourself and experiencing joy. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And yes, check with this thing. And I have a Spanish tutor that I Zoom with every week. And we've decided it's Mi Aflicción Bonita. The pronunciation was horrible. My beautiful affliction. Because it does feel like a fever or something, right?
That's great.
So have you had that experience with different plays, or like, do you have it all the time? Am I crazy, or is this something you relate to?
No, I mean, I think this may be different than the experience you've had. My experience is that as I'm writing it, I love it.
Yeah.
As it's coming out, I love that feeling. When I share my plays, it's a much more tormented experience for me. And what it always feels like is like, I almost did it. Like I almost got the thing. I just see the mistakes. I hear the things that I got wrong. Every night I want to change lines beforehand because I'm like, it's not getting the laugh I want, or it's not getting the intention I want, or I just believe that it can always be better. And that's just like, I actually do think that's true. I don't think that's like, I just think that's true in art. Like there's always a way to make it better.
Right.
But what the thing I love the most, Dennis, is rehearsal. And I love the process of a bunch of deeply empathetic theater weirdos going into a room and working super hard to make a thing better. Yeah. And no one's getting paid enough to do it.
Right.
And they're doing it because they love it. And so my addiction to the theater is an addiction to that. The sharing is less pleasurable for me, but the making is it's my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah. And I am deeply in love with the actors that I work with.
Yeah.
And
course.
I always try to come in with some like remarks before the show.
Sure.
And I said to them yesterday, I was like, I had some doubts as I was putting this together, and like, can I do that sex stuff on stage? Like all of these things. And then I thought, and maybe it sucks, or maybe whatever. And I'm like, oh no, but you guys love it. You love it.
Yeah.
So and you're smart and cool and art creative. And if you love it, there must be something there like that group, that little group in the back, and you're moving the blocks, and like, Yeah. I also remember something you said in class one time where you said, you've done some of the more prestigious theater world things, but some of your best memories are being in a black box in New York, creating something with your friends for 20 people, right?
I mean, that's it. And what that's taught me, and I came to this much later, I'm 44 now, but was that sort of the things I thought would make me happy, like being on stage at the public theater, right? Yeah. It's not that I didn't enjoy that experience. I had a wonderful time there, but the prestige of that wasn't what made it great, right? It's always about the other humans that you're spending time with. It's just true. It is the cliche. It's the friends you made along the way. I mean, that's all that matters, And my years in New York at this theater, Intar, which is an amazing theater, one of the oldest Latino theaters in the country, it's not a very glamorous space. You take a really shitty elevator to a 4th floor walk up in Hell's Kitchen.
Right.
But the people I met in that room were people who cared so much about making the world a better place. And they're still my best friends because that's it. I mean, what a fucking amazing job we have that we get to hang out with people who care about making the world a better place. That's not what going to the stock market is. That's not what being a politician is. That's not what, not every job has that. Now, they're complicated. They can be volatile. There can be, artists are difficult. But ultimately, usually the goal is we're here to make the world a better place. And that's fucking amazing. What a gift,
Yeah. Your acting in this piece is dynamite. You're so good. And you're funny, but you also have really deep emotional things. You do things physically that are amazing. Like, how did you feel about acting in this when it was like, I guess I'm doing this? How did you feel about it?
Well, so it wasn't the intention at all. Ellen Geer, who was on your podcast and who is, a hero to me in many, many ways.
And me.
So we did an early reading of the play, thanks to her daughter, Willow, who's a friend of mine and has been very supportive of my writing. And we did a reading for a small group of people in Topanga. And frankly, a friend of mine who's a better actor read the role. And Ellen really liked him in the role. But she turned to me and she said, because she's from the 70s and there's just a different vibe, And she was like, I think the most radical thing is for you and your wife to play these characters and to stand in front of your community and say, this is our experience here, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And it was such a terrifying idea, Dennis. She said it.
It wasn't just acting. It was like asking a community to come and see different arguments about them.
Yes.
On stage.
Yeah. And I remember sweat pouring from my neck when she said that.
Wow.
And I thought, my mentors always would say, if it scares you to death, you have to do it. And I do listen to them, because they help me a lot. These people who have guided me, the men and women who shaped my career. And so I said, fuck it, I have to do it, And the truth is, Dennis, it's been terrifying because I haven't acted in a long time. And, to share, I think I ended up falling out of love with acting for a lot of reasons.
Right.
And it became a painful thing. It didn't become a pleasurable thing, Right. Became a thing that only made me feel shitty about myself, insecure, like I was never good enough. Like I had no control over what I was saying about the world, and writing kind of took it over and saved me. And so the best thing about getting to act again is that if I had done this play 10 years ago, I'd be like, what agent is coming? What director's coming?
You'd be caring about the result. I don't care about the result either.
Exactly.
I don't give a fuck.
And that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
So for me, it's literally now I go out there. One, I get to do this with my wife, which is such a joy because we've never gotten to do something like this before.
And she's really good too. I want to hear about that. Was she like, wait, I'm what? You've got me. How was she up for it? Or was she like, wait, what?
She loved it. So here's what I'll say about my wife. And she may not like that I say this, but my wife was an actor in high school, was kind of a star in her community. And, then went to theater school at NYU. And when she was faced with the realities of the business, she was like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
But she never lost her love of theater. And frankly, I think she married me because in a way she was still living in that world.
Right. It got to be part of her life.
Yes. I do think that's true. And I think she would say that. And as soon as I came home that day and said, Ellen wants us to do it, her face lit up.
Oh, I thought it could have gone either way. It could have gone either way.
And that face to me said, it was just confirmation of my fear, which went, And dude, for me, like, there's no person who calms me more than my wife and my kids, right?
Right.
And so what's really wonderful is the play starts with like 20 pages of just my wife and I on stage.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm most nervous. But it's this superpower that I get to turn and just look into her amazing eyes, you know, which are my favorite eyes. And then I just feel like, you know, because it's her and we're there together and we're doing this kind of radical, cool thing, you know, and it's like, oh, fuck, like here we are 19 years in and cool. Like, this is cool that this is us now, you know, it feels exciting and not what I thought marriage was, you know,
right.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Well, how many you did? Saturday night was opening. How many have you done so far?
So that's it. Because
you've done the one.
You do it once a week. Yeah.
It's a repertoire.
We did a couple of previews where people came, and that was helpful. But yeah, I mean, that is one of the challenges of being in a theater and rep like this, right? Is like now we don't do it until Saturday. So, you know, my wife and I ran lines today, like just in the kitchen while we were like doing dishes. But you know, you do always wish you had that experience of, because also as a writer, to be honest, there's something really important about how does a Thursday night audience react, Friday night, Saturday matinee, Saturday night, and a Sunday matinee? Because those are different vibes, and you learn a lot about your play through having all of those people sort of run it through the ringer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you don't get that in this space, but what you get is the magic and the history and this like gift of being where we perform, you know?
There's some amazing physicality in the play. I don't want to give too much away, but there's the fight choreography was like, fuck, I believed every moment of that. Right.
How cool.
Right. Was it a lot of work
So that's Aaron Hendry.
Yeah.
So Aaron, who plays Evan in the play, who's like, you know, my friend in the play.
Yeah.
He's the fight choreographer also. Aaron is just one of these fucking insanely talented theater people. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how much I love him as an actor. I just find him to be spectacular and so present and free, you know? Like what I was talking about with Denzel, like that guy never says a line the same way because he's so present.
Yeah.
And he's someone that helps me too, because when I look at him in the eyes on the stage, there's not an actor. It's him. He's just being that person. It's really amazing to witness.
He had that thing that I sometimes notice in actors, which is after the curtain call at the talkback, they seem like a different person. They even look different. They're in the same outfit, but they look like a different person now. Like how it's magic, right?
It's a superpower. And, you know, the whole cast is just fantastic in this play. I mean, I'm really lucky. Like, you know this as a playwright. Like,
I love that
you can write.
I love that sentence, by the way.
But it's true. But you know it. You know it now very well, Dennis.
I know it. Yeah.
You miscast your play. Don't matter what play you wrote, you know, like, and when you cast it correctly, it only makes it seem like your play is better than it is. And that's a great thing. That's not self-deprecating. That's just the truth of this art form. The actor is meant to elevate the writing. Yeah. That's what their job is. And I have this amazing cast that does that. I mean, Willow is fantastic. Amber, John, you know, my wife, it's fucking awesome. Because then you're sitting there as a playwright and you're like, oh, they're making it better. Yeah. Oh, that got a laugh. I never thought that would get a laugh. Thank God Amber says it that way. You know, like it's great.
Yeah, they're all so good. When I was getting ready to do The Fringe and I explored getting a director and time was short. I decided to direct it and I asked you for advice. And you said, try to build the ensemble. Try to get them to cohere as an ensemble. And I don't think I succeeded initially, but it got there. And I do understand the difference now. Everything feels better. Things that didn't work at first suddenly work. And you're like, I don't know what changed, but there's a thing that happens. And that was wonderful advice that I've learned progressively, I guess I'm saying. Yeah, even just 6 readings.
For me, that comes from sports, to be honest, Dennis, from playing sports my whole life, was that, you know, the locker room is a very sacred space, as is backstage. And if the teammates don't get along, doesn't mean you can't win, but it's just very different out there because it's every man for themselves. But the best coaches I ever had were people who united us first. That was more important than being good at the sport. And then you have each other's backs. And when you have a group of people who have your back, you're just more confident. And confidence is everything with this stuff, you know? So that's just from sports. Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about the character that Evan played and your character, Carlos. There's a really beautiful scene that happens where you drop the what would you call it? Like the need to preserve your masculinity or your strength or what, you really get open and honest about your emotions, about feeling lonely and all that stuff. And it is so beautiful, but I think it's the kind of thing that you are inspiring, trying to get us to do in class a little bit. Like just fucking tell the truth about this hard thing. Like if you tell the truth about the hard thing, that's got power right there before there's any jokes or any, you know what I mean? And there's power to it. And my theory with my play, which is I was writing about shame around sexuality or not being good at it or whatever. And I sort of thought if people may not have the shame around the same thing, but my thought is maybe they have it around something else and they will connect in that way. That was my theory of the case. And I don't have a ton of evidence yet, but I kind of feel like that is right. But also like with your characters, with them being super naked that way emotionally. Yeah. I think people relate to it, even if they don't go through the same thing.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's what I want in friendship. Like, you know, it's kind of a wish fulfillment scene in a way, you know, but like, again, not to keep saying this, but why I love theater people. When I got to theater school, at first I thought they were all really weird and like I felt out of place, you know?
Right.
But then what I learned about, you know, artists is that they're the kinds of people that meet you at a dinner party and 5 minutes later you're talking about like, oh, my father was this way and oh my God, yeah, like this is what my hangups around sex. And it's such a quick path to human connection because we need it so badly, you know? That's the kind of personality trait. And to be honest, Dennis, it's why a lot of my best friends are women because women don't have all this fucking societal crap, you know, or I feel, I mean, you can tell me if I'm being an idiot.
No, I have I have a comment to make after you finish your comment.
Yeah. Like for me, it's why, to be honest, moving to Topanga was hard initially because I didn't know which of the men here were like that and which of the men were, you know, just more like business type of guys or people who connect through the stock market. And that's also wonderful. It's just not how I connect, right? So it's just like a hard in. It's just two people who don't have a lot in common, right? Doesn't mean if people have a bad date, it doesn't mean they're both bad people. It just means like they don't, you know, click. And so for me, when I first got here, I was like, I'd meet some of the men and I'd be like, hey man, my dad, wow. And then I could see their face be like, whoa, bro, I don't even know who you are.
We don't talk about this shit.
Yeah, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not in a theater. I'm not in a black box theater, you know?
Right.
Like, oh, shit, I fucked up. Or you're not one of my female friends, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, and to be honest, what's happened as I gotten older is like, I hang out with the moms more, you know, because I feel like I just get them more. I don't know how to explain it. It's just true for me, you know? But you know, part of what that scene talks about is how I did meet those guys up here now, you know?
Yeah.
And I do have those guy friends up here. And that's been so special to me because I do need that in friendship. Like I'm an emotional dude, man. Like, you know, I mean, the only person who cries as much as I do is you, Dennis. Met.
I cry all the time. The cast was like, don't start, don't. Because Dulce, who you know from class, was reading the stage directions. I did the middle show because she had another thing. And I was like, I cannot cry while I'm reading the stage directions. But my voice fucking caught. Like it was very clear that it was happening. I don't know. I'm not mad at it. It's become like almost a cliche. Like John, remember that? Was it that Congressman John Boehner that used to cry all the time on the Sunday shows? It was like, I feel like that, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Like and it's not shtick, but it really is like, wow, that's. But I put it in one of the character in the play says, oh, it's part of my brand, you know, when he's crying again. But saying the thing you said about women, I sense that my piece, which is about 3 gay men, one might be bi, sex, success, all of this stuff, money. I think my biggest champions are not going to be my peers. I think they're going to be women.
Yeah.
Based on the reactions I've gotten, based on some emails that I've gotten. Yeah. I think that's who's going to help me take it to the next level. I don't think it's going to be the gay theater of Hollywood or like, you know what I mean? Like
Interesting.
I think that's who wants to open up that can with me.
Sure.
And I find that interesting. I could be, you know, I have a meeting this week with a gay man my age who saw it and wants to talk about ideas and stuff.
Great.
But women, I think it's a little bit of that heated rivalry appeal. Something about
interesting, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And not in a titillating way. Even though I think that's part of it. I think the sexuality is part of it. But it's something else at work, and it's interesting.
But I'll say very quickly, the reason I connect to your play, maybe why some women connect to the play, is that for those of us who are brought up with shame around that, right?
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to understand what it is to be a woman in this world and how horrible that programming is, right? But what your play is asking us is to release that shame, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's so moving. That's why it's a universal play, because shame doesn't just pertain to queer men in West Hollywood, right?
No.
And so, of course, a lot of women are going to identify with it because this horrible society built by stupid men has told them how they're allowed to feel about their own sexual desires. Yeah. And so that's what your play is attacking.
I think what I'm trying to say is that shame around sexuality is doing no one any favors.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just not. That's really interesting. There was a class that we had where you were talking about how sometimes the most iconic lines from movies and plays and things aren't clever, aren't like beautifully crafted lines. They just land because of the story and the character, and they say something true. And you were talking about I could have been a contender, and I'll be back, just different things like that. And you asked us to think of a line from our show that we think might have that. Not to be arrogant around it, but just you feel like, something is being true and simple here. Yeah. And I said mine, and then I said I don't know what the other character says after. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah.
And we went around the room, and you were like, let's everyone pitch an idea. And the line that ended up in the piece, and it's one of my favorite moments in the whole show, is the line that you pitched. And do you remember when it was performed, and you remember the whole thing? Okay.
Yes.
I find it so beautiful because it's counterintuitive and yet it's sort of wise, and it's just beautiful. So I just love that line is in there, and that is from you, the person that started me on this journey. So, but that's what's so great about theater, right? Like there are lines in my play that I didn't write. Yeah. That an actor in a workshop was like, what if this is said? Or I feel like this is what's happening. Or, there's a joke in my play about placenta chocolate. And that was given to me by Will Geer, who, is an actor in the play, and said, hey, I attended this party in Topanga and placenta chocolate came up. Right. Like we need to put it in the play. That's what's great about plays, is that plays are not built alone. They're never alone. And so it's great that in a weird way, sometimes the audience thinks you wrote it all, but that's insane. Like no play is written in a vacuum, not even Shakespeare, obviously. A lot of the stuff in Shakespeare's plays that I love is shit that his clowns improvised, Yeah. And he gets the credit for it because he's the playwright. It's, but it's great. It's great that that's the art form. Yeah. And more so than other things that I've worked on, I would be writing something, and I'll give you an example. Like I decided at one point that one of the characters was going to sing "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning" from Oklahoma. Yeah. And I typed it in the script. That night I went to see Jeremy Jordan perform at the Sorolla, this Broadway actor. His opening number is "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." And I'm like, I guess it's staying in the piece. I have 50 stories like that where some little nugget from something happens and I put it in, and then I get this sign that's like, oh yeah, guess that joke's staying in, but they're from other people. It's like being a scavenger in a way, and I've just never experienced anything quite like it. I wanted to ask you this. Why do you teach? Why do you like to teach? Oh, I love it. I mean, my mom was a teacher, and I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. And I saw, my mom is a huge inspiration in my life. I think one of the reasons I connect with women so well is because of my mom, Right. My mom was who I wanted to be when I grew up. That's what I looked up to in my house. I love my dad, and my dad's an amazing man. But, my mom was my hero because she was deeply empathetic, and she was a teacher. And I get great joy from teaching. It is such a quick exchange of watching you do something that is helping someone else. And that is one of the greatest things you can do in your life. For yourself, for you to feel good, right? To make the world a better place. Like, go volunteer at a soup kitchen.
you will not feel worse when you leave. Go up and down Skid Row with some sandwiches. Like, you won't get in your car and feel worse about your day. Like, it is this terrible thing that's happening in the country that we're in right now, that is being lost on us. Like, that was taught to me by my mom, that making the world a better place was a good thing.
What kinds of things would she do?
So my mom volunteered at this place in Houston called Casa Juan Diego, which is like a home for immigrants. And she would go and take care of the kids and teach them English and, just with her free time, Through church, I saw her do a lot of really nice things, My mom was someone who would teach English classes to some of the service workers in our neighborhood. She was always doing things like that. And, she was always speaking up for what she believed in. My dad, too, very political, very committed to standing up for what you believe in, and that just had a huge impact on my life. And again, it's not altruistic. It's also selfish. You feel good.
Yeah.
It's like taking a really great cocktail or, having great sex, like helping the world makes you feel better. And it's so crazy that we all don't do it more often, because I'm talking about myself, by the way, like
right.
It only is good.
It's only a good thing.
Yeah.
Going back to the acting thing, now that you're doing it again in a fresh place in your life where it doesn't have this need to prove something or anything, are you enjoying it more? Do you think like, oh, I'm so glad I've stepped back into this?
I really like doing this play in this space in this moment of my life.
Right.
I can't imagine that I would derive any joy driving to Glendale to be Officer Ramirez and say, stop right there 2 times in front of a camera. I can't imagine that's what I'll ever go back to.
Right.
I mean, it has made me be like, well, maybe I do want to be in a play from time to time that is a play I care about and has something to say. When you're an actor, what's hard is you got to do things that maybe you don't even think are that good, because that's the job.
Right,
and that's great. And I really admire that actors do that, you know? But I'm very privileged in that I don't have to do it for my rent.
Yeah.
So sure, if this beautiful play came by that had something really important to say about the world and someone wanted me to do it, I may consider it now,
Right.
But it would have to be that. Because again, what people are competing with now is like me hanging out with my kids.
Yeah.
And my kids are fucking great. So anything that takes me away from them, it better be worthwhile.
It better be good. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your television career. You worked on Acapulco, the show.
Yeah.
What was your experience like in that world?
So again, talking about like a great coach or seeing about bringing together a unit, I've only worked on one TV show. So, I'm just going to talk about what I've heard from other people. I've heard that it can be really hard when you first start out.
Yeah.
And that people can be very mean, very demeaning. I had a showrunner called Sam Laybourne and Austin Winsberg who co-show ran that show. And their entire worldview was about giving everyone space, assistance. Everyone in the room was allowed to pitch on the show. And no one was ever meant to feel like their idea was stupid or like, I can't believe you just pitched that. There was no talking down. There was no lecturing. There was also, it's 2 white men who created a room where Latinos were given the floor when it was our turn to be the experts, and we were never meant to feel like we were only there to be Latinos, but we were also there to be writers. And so I had these 2 magical years on that show because I was in a room of predominantly Latino writers writing a story about Mexico and a city I love, where we weren't portraying any stereotypes. There were no narcos. And I'm really proud of the work we did. And a lot of the writers on that show are still my friends, and I got very blessed. And sometimes I even think with the state of the industry, like if that's the only TV show I ever write for, it's okay. Because you know what? It was like the perfect TV show for me to write for. It was a comedy. It was bilingual. It was positive about my country. And I worked with people I loved. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. Like that's a gift.
Yeah. Is it done or is it maybe coming back?
It's done. Yeah. No, we're done. Yeah. The show got 4 seasons, which, for a Latino show is kind of unheard of. And, super proud of it.
Yeah.
And,
you also started a Substack during the World Cup and wrote about the World Cup, which I loved reading about, even though I don't follow it super closely, but I loved just reading what you wrote. What did you get out of writing about the World Cup? What was cool about that?
Well, that's very sweet of you to mention. I mean, I love
fun. They're really fun. I just like your voice as a writer generally, and you're opinionated, and you're feisty and funny, and then self-deprecating, and if you put out like magnets, I would buy them. I am all in as a fan.
I feel the same way about your writing, Dennis. I mean, look, the truth is, I love the World Cup. Every 4 years, my wife knows this. I just kind of, leave behind all work, all familial duties. I just become an obsessive. It's probably something to do with my childhood and some unresolved trauma, but I just love the World Cup. And, I'm very lucky to be a screenwriter, and I love being a screenwriter. But being a screenwriter is very hard because the ultimate goal is a product. And there's a lot of people telling you what to do. And I come from the theater where you have autonomy and control, and people aren't telling you what to do with your art. And so one of the frustrations of the last 5 years, which I even have a hard time saying out loud sometimes because it feels like, fuck you, who are you to complain? Because I feel very lucky and it pays very well and it's opened a lot of doors in my life. But I'm always seeking more autonomy in my writing and creative control. And that's why I go back to playwriting. And so the Substack was like, oh, cool, I just get to write this fucking thing that maybe 2 people will read. But no one's going to give me a note on, I don't know, Bernardo, that's a little petty, or I don't know, that seems a little angry, or are you really going to make another joke about the British? Like, no one's going to say that to me because it's just mine. Yeah. And that's what's cool about the world we live in today, right? It's like you can just be exactly the artist you want and go find your audience. And, I've never really done that before. I tried to do like YouTube sketch shows with my friends and stuff, but, the Substack, what was cool was like, random people from like high school being like, dude, I read your Substack. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. Like, it's nice. It's a nice way to share something. Again, with no commitment to, I hope I'm a sports writer now. Like, no, it's, there was no goal except to enjoy it. You know?
They were very entertaining, but they had a passion and a love for the game that was delightful. And also, I'm sure other people connected to it. And even if they disagreed with you, because it was just such the fever of it, it was really fun. I'm going to share a memory that I have and see if you have something that relates to this.
Okay.
When I was a kid, the elementary school would get to go see the high school plays, and they were done in like the cafeteria. So there wasn't even a proscenium, I don't think. And I'm sure the basketball courts were hanging down, and I'm sure the sets were shitty. And they were high school actors, and there was a play called Dirty Work at the Crossroads, which I think was like a farce or like somebody getting tied to a railroad track or like that kind of a thing. I just remember being, I don't know, in elementary school and getting lost in it. Lost. Like I must have believed every moment, every actor, every story. But I remember when it ended and like I was in a trance and now I wasn't. And I bet if you had a camera on the side and watched it, you'd be like, that's the worst high school acting ever.
Sure.
That said, it's like, but it captured something in me. Do you remember an early moment where you lost yourself in theater?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, this also goes back to my mom who loved theater. And I think, my mom would have been a dancer if she'd grown up at a different time period in a different country, So the story I don't remember, but that my mom tells is that we went to see Jesus Christ Superstar, and that when they put Jesus on the cross, I was 5 and I stood up on my chair and demanded they take him down. So, that'll tell you who I'm going to be. Yeah. Yes. Like, I was so upset. And then the memory that came up for me like that was there was an amazing theater teacher at my school named Miss Fish, Kay Fish.
Yeah.
And I hope I don't even know if she's still alive. I mean, she was such a special woman. And she would write these musicals for kids. And I can't tell you which one it was, but I was in a lot of them. But I remember watching one of hers in like the first grade or in kindergarten. And it just felt like it's how I still feel about watching a play. Look at these magic people. I'm now going to cry. But you just can't believe that these people do this. And that they're here, by the way, to entertain you, to make you think about the world, to, again, make the world a better place. And they're in these weird costumes. And, when you're a kid, like you said, the quality, I mean, to be honest, I think Miss Fish was probably a fucking genius.
Yeah, she was probably killing it.
Yeah, but whatever the level, again, all that's bullshit. All that's just the crap that the industry throws at us and all that. All that matters is that these kids are having this life moment where they get to perform in front of people and do the thing that humans have done since the beginning of time, which is tell stories in a circle. And like, I just remember being so in awe of those people and knowing that I wanted to do it, you know? Like, I always wanted to do that. Because it felt like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Were you supported in that? Did the people in your life be like, oh, yeah, go on that path? Or were they like, no, maybe you should explore law or medicine?
My parents were always incredibly supportive and, frankly, fly to every play I ever did in New York. And I did a lot of really bad plays in New York. Like, truly, Dennis, I did a lot of really bad plays. And my parents would get on the plane from Houston and go see me. You know, the truth is my parents were always supportive. The thing they didn't have was they didn't have the tools to tell me, like, how to do it. You know, like,
right. I remember my mother apologizing to me that she didn't have connections.
Oh, that's so funny.
You know, like she was like, I wish I had connections. Like she understood enough that I was trying to succeed in Los Angeles and that, you know, my dad, different story of my dad, but, but I relate to that. Like they support it, but they don't know how to help you because it's a totally different world.
Yeah. And like, I of course they did it. You know, they're Mexican immigrants living in Houston. Like, of course, I mean, this will be a funny version of a sweet thing my dad did, but you can tell like he doesn't really know how to help, right? Was my dad's from a town in Mexico called Veracruz, which is in the Pacific Ocean. It's the Atlantic, where Cortez first landed, okay? And Mel Gibson shot the film Apocalypto in Veracruz, okay?
Right.
This is important to the story. My dad calls me one day when I'm in New York, and I've been there for like 6 months. And he's like, Bernardo, great news. Your uncle's friend became friends with Mel Gibson while he was shooting Apocalypto in Veracruz. Send me your headshot. He's going to give it to Mel Gibson.
Right.
Right? And you're like, that's not how this works. I don't even know if Mel Gibson ever got it. Like, you know, but it was in my dad's head, like, oh, I can help him.
Yeah. I am just 2 degrees of separation away from this. Did you send the headshot?
And his cousin's friend maybe had one drink with Mel Gibson once in Mexico.
Right.
You know, and Mel Gibson probably forgot him. But everyone in that chain up to Mel Gibson in Mexico is like, fuck yeah, we're supporting this kid, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very sweet. Like
it's very beautiful, actually. Yeah, I would have fucking sent it because you just don't know, right? And also, there's something so charming about it that you have to hold up your end of the
of course.
Fantasy, the dream.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
It's really beautiful. I want to say something about the Will Geer Theatricum. It's a magical place. And when I first started going there, I think because of the Waltons connection and because it's so family oriented, I think I thought it was sort of like they would do safe things or they would do, you know, kind of woodsy things or, you know, whatever. They're really sophisticated artists out there, like especially when doing stuff like your play right in the community where it's being done. And I think my initial thing because of the Waltons of it all was like, oh, this is like Little House on the Prairie kind of vibes. But they're fucking sophisticated artists, like directors and the pieces that they choose and the stuff that they're doing. And I don't know. Anyway, it was just like a shout out to them. And I thought that again, watching your show and seeing Will Geer, who is, you know, one of the OGs, I guess, like play this really complicated, messy, neurotic character and kill it. So
it's a really special place. And, you know, when you meet Ellen, right?
Yeah.
What I get from Ellen is a thing that I long for that I got more of in New York, which is like these fucking theater people, like people who are they care so much about the craft. It is so important in a way that is like, you know, it's like what you see when an actor is fully committed to a performance. It is everything. It is life or death. It is what you go to bed thinking about and you wake up doing. Like Ellen is that. Willow is that. Aaron is that. Like the artists that I've gotten to meet at the Theatricum are for me, it was such a savior when I first moved to Topanga and didn't know where I belonged, was I was like, oh, here are my people. And I'll say, I remember I saw Much Ado About Nothing there last season, and Willow and Aaron played Benedict and what the hell is her name? Beatrice.
Right.
And I love that play, and I've seen that play done many times. And they both played those roles much more clownish than I'd ever seen anybody do the roles.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, we're witty banter people. It was like, oh, we're kind of foolish people who don't know how to fall in love. And I just cried. I was so moved, and I laughed so much. And I watched both of them, and that was the moment I knew they had to be in my play. Because I just saw these experts. Again, it's like, it's artistry at its highest level.
Yeah. Like,
to nail Benedict and Beatrice, you have to be a very high-level artist. And better than people I saw do it at, at the Globe in London, better than productions in New York, at Shakespeare in the Park. Like, that's the level of artist that's working there at that theater, and it's a joy it's an honor that I get to do my shit there,
Yeah. I was thinking that I was reading your play today, and there's not a ton of stage direction. The important things are there, but all of that moving around, there's a giant space, there's trees and shit. Yeah. All of that stuff, they fucking figured it out. And you gave a shout out to them in the talk back. But like you're saying, I think one of my dreams with my piece is to get real experts to help me. Yeah. When directors and a choreographer and lighting and you said one time in class, and I'll never forget this either. You said, it can be heartbreaking and hard sometimes, and you do these things, but one day a scene designer is going to call you up and say, hey, what do you see for the couch?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Right?
The greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's helpful to say this, but this is a crazy way that I learned this lesson. But so when I was in 7th grade, I got really into basketball. Okay.
Right.
And I started playing with my older brother and his friends, not with my friends. And they were all better than me. Much, much better than me. And that summer, I only played with my older brother and his friends. And I got really good. And in 8th grade, I came back, and I was suddenly better than all my friends. Because I was willing to be the worst one in the room.
Right.
And I learned so much. And for me, every time I put on one of my plays, I want everyone in the room to be smarter than me. I want them all to be my brother's friends playing basketball. Right. Because that, having Sochi direct, having Ellen direct, having the designers do their thing, that just makes my play better, Yeah. It's like, of course you want everyone to be better than you. It's great to surround yourself with people who are better than you, you know?
I just have a couple more questions, but I want to make sure we get a plug in for how people can see it. It runs through October 4th, the People of Pompeii. You also have another cool thing that you're doing only once so far. And I don't have the info in front of me, but you're writing a play called Lauren Sanchez, right? That's the name of it?
Yeah. So I was very lucky to be a part of the Center Theater Group's Playwrights cohort this year that Tiffany and Sonia ran, and they're the amazing dramaturgs that work there. And the play that I worked on in that group is called Lauren Sanchez, and it's a wild play. It's a play about Lauren Sanchez's wedding to Jeff Bezos in Venice, coinciding with the ice raids that happened in Venice, LA. And it's about privilege and about what do people with power owe the rest of the world. But it's a satire, and it's very clownish, very big, kind of a wild play. And has a very strong political worldview, and we're doing a reading August 30th. Thank you so much. At 3:30,
I already got my ticket.
At Red Cat in downtown. And if you go to Center Theater Group's website, there's also 3 other readings left from that cohort. Keiko Green's play, which is amazing. I don't know what it's called now, but it's about a hole in a wall. That's all I'll say.
Right.
But her play is that night after my reading at 3:30. If you stay... Keiko's one of the most produced playwrights in America for a reason. She's one of my favorite writers. Stay at 7:30 and you can see her reading as well.
Oh, that's good to know.
And then a month later, there's 2 other great ones. But it's all on the website. And please, thank you, Dennis. It would be great if people could come.
And you can learn about the People of Pompeii at theatricum.com. And I'm definitely going again, probably more than once. I just love it. I just love it. I'm going to bring people. It's going to be part of my birthday extravaganza come September. I want to thank you also for helping me make the connection with Jose Eduardo Moreno, who came into my play and played Mariano. He killed it. But he and his wife, Giselle, talked about like a party that they had in Houston when they were doing your show. It made it sound like the most fun party in the world. Like, is it your parents' house?
Yeah, this is my parents. I mean,
your parents sound amazing.
Yeah, my parents are, I'm very, very lucky that these are my parents. Jose and Tita, shout out. My parents are the more the merrier. They've always been that way.
Yeah.
Like my parents, even a family vacation, if we like were at a restaurant, we ran into someone, my parents would be like, you should come with us. Of course you should come. You know, they never feel like it's too many.
Like there's
people.
not enough, like the scarcity, there's scarcity. There's enough for everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And, you know, I think there is something about Latino culture that is that way, which I love. But yes, you know, Jose was amazing in my play in Houston, and my parents just invited the whole cast. They got a taco truck, and you know, it's what I've had since I was 5 years old. Like random people at my parents' house, drinking their alcohol, eating food, and my dad, like, you know, talking to them about his hot takes on politics. You know, like that's just the world. You know, like that's what it is. And my mom dancing and having a great time. Like that's, you know, it's a very lucky way to grow up.
It's the best. And he was such a gift to the show. He elevated everything. He's so good. And you could see him discovering it. And the previous person, it didn't end great with them. And so there was a healing presence around. So thank you for that connection. I want to end with this thought. In my play, I share something extremely personal, extremely vulnerable, extremely exposing. And I feel a little empowered having done it. And I'm processing it, what I've learned, what it felt like, it does kind of like, well, I guess that's out there or whatever. Yeah. I'm wondering if you've had an experience like that where you put something really personal into a play and let it go, and what you have observed about it. How did it affect you? Because in my case, I wrote and talked about feeling like I missed the boat on sex, that I, you know, like I feel like I'm not great at it, and I never lost myself in it, and I have regrets around it, and is it too late, and all of these things. And I thought that maybe my peers would be like, oh, I'm like that too. Not that many. I am more of an outlier than you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, we're all like that. No, that has not been my experience, and that's totally fine too. But I'm just sort of like, what's it like to say the thing you thought you could never say in a play?
Which why I do it.
I know. Like, so I don't know if you have any experiences like that where you're like, I can't put this out there, and then you did, and what?
I mean, I'm very lucky to have had many experiences like that, and I'll share, this is what's very meaningful to me now as I'm older.
Right.
Is I've been lucky to get to do some of my plays in Houston where I grew up.
Right.
And when I was a theater person in Houston, I felt that there was no space for Latino artists in Houston theater because there wasn't. And there weren't many people for me to look up to. There were a few, like Pablo Barracho, I'll name, you know, there were these people who I looked up to, but I just didn't know that we were allowed to do it until I saw John Leguizamo do Freak on HBO. And that gave me permission to pursue my dream, right?
Right.
And the most meaningful thing that's happened to me as a theater artist, well, one of the many, but one of the things that has meant a great deal to me is sometimes when I go back to Houston, I meet like a 20-year-old Latino or Latina, and they say, dude, I heard about your play, or I saw your play, and like, I'm from Houston, I'm Mexican, like it made me feel like I can do it too. And the things that your play said, me too, me too, me too, right? And dude, that, you know, it's a gift that I can never fully express. It fills my soul. And that's the point of this, is that, you know, like when you do your play, Dennis, I really believe this politically very strongly. What it does is it opens the door for 5 young gay kids who want to write a play. That's what it does. For other people too, but there's something very important for our own communities who have been so oppressed and marginalized that we continue to do that, because there's a very big push in this world to close those doors to our communities. I mean, look at our country right now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why I love your play. It is so unflinchingly, abashedly, honestly queer, and proud of it. And it says even there is shame here, but I'm going to fucking fight against it because that's what the world wanted me to feel, right? And that's revolution. That's why theater matters. It is revolution. And so, you know, for me, the way that I felt about older Latino playwrights, the fact that sometimes, very few times, I've had a younger Latino artist say that to me, it goes like, okay, that's the point. My mom would always say, you just have to leave un granito de arena, a little grain of sand. That's all your job is in this life, right? And when you hear stuff like that, you go, okay, that's a grain of sand, you know? And we keep fighting. The fight, you know, it keeps going. We have to fight back, you know?
Yeah, I cried less in this podcast than I thought I was going to, but I did cry a fair amount, and my tears are streaming down now. During putting up this play, I would be driving around. I'd think about the characters. I'd start crying. I cry all the time. But I wasn't mad at it. I thought, we got this fucking war in Iran. The world's ending. Whatever. Yeah. I'm going to look back and go, oh, that's when I did that play. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's going to trump all of it. It's going to trump all of it. And, so thank you for the gift. You've given me a gift. You're one of my favorite people. You're a magic person. You've changed my life. And someday we'll go to Chili's and cry. I cried in front of you in Chili's. I remember that.
Great, but that's a great place to cry. What a wonderful establishment.
Thank you. I really feel like I should. I feel like I should be able to get gift cards from them because
you should. Honestly, you plug them in your play. Once your play's at one of these big theaters, you should be like, dude, you guys should sponsor this play at this point.
I really wanted to serve Chili's chips and salsa at intermission for people, but I just didn't get it together in time. You know, it's a lot. Bernardo, thank you for this. Everyone should go see The People of Pompeii and keep an eye out for your other things that are happening. Dulce, who was in our class and read my stage direction, said you're directing her in another thing?
Yes, in a play called Boston Marriage that my friends Nicole and Heather are putting together. Dulce is going to kill it in this play.
She's very excited.
We open in October, and if you follow me on social media at pinche Cubria, you'll get more info about all that stuff. But Dulce is another magic person that I'm very lucky to know. Yeah,
I was looking up pinche because I know that it's like slang, and then I was trying to figure out you can mean it in different ways. So, final thought, pinche. Talk to me about why that's part of your name. I read a lot of different ways it can be used in Spanish, but how do you? What does it mean to you, and why do you use it that way?
So it wasn't very intentional. I mean, to be honest, I have an uncle named Bernardo Cubria, and I was late to Instagram, and he had already taken it. Yeah. And so it was kind of like a joke in my head. You know, what I remember is the first time I went to Spain.
Right.
When I said I was Mexican, they were like, oh, pinches, because that's a slang that Mexicans use, not Spanish people use.
Right.
And it felt like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, I love that slang term that we have, this bad word that we use.
Right.
And yeah, it's ours. It's Mexican, you know?
Right.
And so now it's, you know, I always end my plays with end of pinche play, and it feels like I
noticed that.
It's very. I mean, anybody who knows me probably is annoyed about this aspect of me, but I am very proud to be Mexican. I never tire of mentioning that because I think it is a political thing to do.
Yes,
and you know, pinche is like fuck yeah, I'm Mexican, dude. The play you read, it's not a gringo play. It's a fucking Mexican play. Like that's what it is for me. You know,
I like it. Yeah. That's very cool. Well, everything you do is cool. Thank you for this conversation. And
thank you, Dennis. I love you, dude.
I love you too. And I'll see you soon. I'm going to come back and see your show a bunch of times because I think because I have a lot of friends that would like. Oh, they would like it. They would love this. They would love this. So yeah.
Definitely let me know when you come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks again to Bernardo Cubria for doing the podcast and also all the other positive things he's done for me in my life. All right. So this happened. We had our final show of Trade-Offs, which I think I mentioned during the interview. Final show for now. We'll see what happens, in the future. I'm really going to try to take it as far as I can take it. Do productions, do a production, do a workshop, maybe adapt it as something else like a movie, or I even thought about a graphic novel because my friend Grant did these amazing illustrations that went with the play for the backdrops. I don't know. I'm all in on it. So, I just got Claude, the AI thing, Claude, and I thought I'm gonna ask Claude what I should do next, with my play and what are the options. And there's lots of options, but Claude is a little bit more the voice, like ChatGPT thinks everything you've done, ChatGPT thinks the sun shines out of your ass. Claude is like, this is a tough sell for some theaters. Like Claude is a little more, it'll tell you, it calls it like it sees it, which is, by it, I just mean some fucking phantom algorithm, information, succubus, unethical, whatever thing. But anyway, I'm going to keep going. And the show itself, the final show was beautiful. The cast really cohered, and so many people that I loved were there. I got 2 people brought me flowers, which I love getting flowers. That's nice. And it was just very moving. And I just had an overall feeling of joy and pride. And we had a little pizza party afterwards, and that was cool. And anyway, yeah, it was awesome. The whole thing was awesome, man. What a journey. And, we're going to keep it going somehow, some way. I've already made some changes to the script. I was like, I've been thinking about this thing, and I'm going to do that. So there you go. It's a living organism, as they say, which we learned in this interview with Bernardo. All right. That's enough for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next time on Dennis Anyone. Bye.